People want to have a one-stop shop. They need us for now all these different services, not just the heating and air side.
When things are going wrong, you want the company that's going to be able to get things done as fast as possible for you.
Today, we're going to be in over 600 homes. What the customers can count on is we're going to send a competent person to your home with a vehicle that's stocked and prepared. We're going to do what's right.
Right now, we're waiving our $79 service fee with any Coolray, Brite Box, or Mr. Plumber service.
We all need hot water. Some of us need more than others. So it's a good thing that State has a wide range of tough commercial-grade water heaters for your home. From standard models to high-efficiency and tankless models, we've got you covered, no matter where you live, what you do, or who started it. To install a State water heater in your home, visit statewaterheaters.com and use our contractor locator to find an installer near you.
The following is a special presentation of Extreme eSpeed TV, your new home for everything iRacing and eSpeed.
Race fans, we are back at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series race number 7 of the season. We were planning on being at Cedar Lake tonight, but a schedule change last week has us back here at Bristol Motor Speedway for tonight's Smoky Mountain 50. I am Travis Piercefield, joined as always by Adam Johnson. Adam, it's nice to be back in the Tennessee Hills for another night as we saw a lot of exciting racing action last Wednesday.
Yes, we sure did, and I want to touch on, and we'll get into it in Adam's notebook next segment, but the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series and Coast to Coast Racing League have agreed to put the first annual Coolray Challenge on hold. That's exactly why we're here at Bristol once again. The two series are working together on some special events. So more to come on that. But as you talked about last week, it was a dominant performance for Dylan Perry. And how dominant was it? Well, it put him just 1 point now behind the points leader, John Foskey. So there's a lot on the line tonight. There's a lot of guys who are going to be trying to chase down Dylan Perry. And what it's going to come down to, and we talked to Andy Pearson about it last week, it's going to come down to qualifying, because it's really hard to pass that guy who's out front. There are some passing opportunities in the middle, in the pack area, but up top, it's really hard to get that top car, and that's how Dylan Perry parked it in victory lane last night.
We've talked about it before, Adam. Dylan Perry is a contender every race weekend that we have. He's been consistent all year long. He has wins now at the dirt track at Charlotte, Weed Sport Speedway, and then at Bristol Motor Speedway. For these dirt late model cars, Bristol Motor Speedway, with being so high banked and so big, it's almost like when the NASCAR Cup Series goes to Talladega or Daytona, where you've got this big, fast track. It's real hard on equipment, and it's real hard on the drivers trying to stay consistent.
It really is. And what's going to be interesting tonight is, if you tuned in last week, you thought, okay, I know what to expect tonight. It's going to be the exact same thing. Well, it's not. Tonight, it's going to be a sunset start to the race. Track's going to be a little slick. It's going to be different than you saw last week. That's how crazy this track is. And like you talked about with the Cup Series, they're learning that as well. So right now, the guys are getting some of the action. They're having their driver's meeting momentarily. So we got practice. We got the last chance showdown. There's a lot of kind of data that we're going to be able to see before this race even starts, before the green flag drops, all of that. So we're really due for a pretty fun night of racing here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
The fans are starting to file in, Adam. It should be another great crowd for tonight's Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series event. You're watching Extreme eSpeed TV as always. We're going to head back to commercial. When we come back, we're going to dive into Adam's notebook, talk about some news that has to do with the series that came out this past week, and then we will head into Houston Guttering time trials here shortly from Bristol Motor Speedway. Thank you for watching Extreme eSpeed TV.
Racers, get the most horsepower from your crate engine with ProFabrication headers and exhaust. ProFabrication headers and exhaust is an official partner of the American Crate All-Star Series and used by winning racers such as Dylan Brown, Logan Robertson, Carson Ferguson, Christian Hanger, Cody Overton, and Eli Beats. ProFabrication headers and exhaust, just a click of a mouse away at ProFabrication.com. Quality that wins. Get yours at ProFabrication.com.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. We're here for the Smoky Mountain 50 for the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series. And as always, as we look ahead to tonight's events, it's hard not to look back at the week of news. Adam, you have your handy-dandy notebook as always?
Yes, I do, Travis, and it's hot off the press. Thanks to race director Cody Early for sending it over. And I'd like to, rehash. If you're just tuning in, bear with me. I'm going to repeat this announcement. But the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series and Coast to Coast Racing League have agreed to put the first annual Coolray Challenge on hold. So that's exactly why we're not at Cedar Lake this week. We're back at Bristol Motor Speedway. I think this is a treat. I'm really excited for tonight, but just wanted to remind you that the Coast to Coast Series and Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series are going to continue working together on special events, including, the annual Toilet Bowl 100 events. And so I brought up Cedar Lake. Let's talk about one that we did last, I believe it was a couple weeks ago, Weed Sport Speedway. Well, the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series and Weed Sport Speedway have agreed to mutually cancel the contract for the 2023 Ice Bowl, and there are rumors and rumblings that the event might actually take place at a new track in 2023. Let's talk about what's going to happen after this week now, immediately. The series is going to take the next 4 weeks off. It'll be a good time. I know kids have spring break here. It's going to be a great opportunity to refresh, get some more laps on these tracks where the guys haven't had the same opportunity to really get as much practice as they wanted. So they're going to return the first week of May with a 2-day show. That's right, the 2022 Speed Weeks presented by Brite Box Electric will have us at the USA International Speedway on May 3rd and then Lanier International Speedway on May 4th. So while we're looking forward to tonight, I can't help but get excited about those two tracks and what's to come. It's going to be a quick road trip for us on the tour bus, but really excited for that. And then finally, I wanted to touch on registration for the 3rd annual Icebreaker 100. That's going to open on May 1st at noon, okay? We're not going to have a broadcast release for this league before then, so I want you to write that down. Registration for the 3rd annual Icebreaker 100 will be May 1st at noon. This year's event is set to be $1,000 to the win event, with qualifying events happening on December 27th, and the main event ran on December 28th at Cedar Lake Speedway. So a lot to take in right now. I hope you guys are watching some of the practice laps going around. It's exciting. It's so hard not to talk about the future, but we have a really exciting race tonight, Travis. What do you think?
It definitely is. You can see the cars out there now for practice, sticking up to that high lane, which we saw last week. And I don't care how many times you see it, how many years they do it. Seeing dirt on Bristol Motor Speedway is always cool.
Awesome. It is fantastic, and I think I really feel like we got the appetizer last week. And we're used to being at the same location multiple times. We did Volusia Speedway Park 3 days in a row, really, for Coolray Winter Nationals. So I kind of like that. This gives drivers, let's say you finish 2nd or 3rd, this gives you an opportunity to say, all right, can I make up that ground? Can I make a difference this week to overcome that? So there's some names that we're going to be watching. I'm sure we'll talk about that throughout the broadcast, even before the green flag drops. But I'm getting fired up, Travis.
So doing my research for tonight, following up last week, Bristol Motor Speedway, built in 1960, of course started with the NASCAR Cup Series. So we'll go through and look at the different variations of the track. Here, this is Bristol. This is the NASCAR Cup Series, packed house. You see the concrete down there, so a little bit back in the past. But like tonight, a full crowd there for an exciting night at Bristol. Next, we've got the dirt track. This is from last year, so this is recent, similar to this year. You see the dirt on there, exciting, big events. Now let's change it up a little bit. It's had football games, so this
I like it.
So this is Virginia Tech versus Tennessee a few years ago. Football in the middle. They had bleachers on that racing surface actually. Lots of different events taking place, and then we'll go back to the OG. The original dirt track back in 1999, 2000.
Is that the 75 of Andy Piercefield I see in there, front row?
It's white and blue. Let's say it is for that. But you can see, look at the fans up there. The track, obviously the wall looks a little different, but that is the original dirt track race here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
I like it. And this is the track that I believe you went to last year with dad, brother, and son. So this is our second time actually getting to just broadcast it. So we're still fans, but we got a little bit professional side tonight. But I like that. Thank you for the history lesson, Travis.
That is this track in history. I'll see what I can do as we go throughout the series. A lot of exciting tracks, a lot of historical tracks are coming up on the schedule. So it'll be a lot of fun to see what we have coming up. Well, we've got Houston Guttering time trials in about 10 minutes. With that being said, we're going to go to our last commercial break before we get some cars on the track with some competition. We appreciate you tuning in as always. You're watching Extreme eSpeed TV.
Racers, get the most horsepower from your great engine with ProFabrication headers and exhaust. ProFabrication Headers and Exhaust is an official partner of the American Crate All-Star Series and used by winning racers such as Dylan Brown, Logan Robertson, Carson Ferguson, Christian Hanger, Cody Overton, and Eli Beats. ProFabrication Headers and Exhaust, just a click of a mouse away at ProFabrication.com. Quality that wins. Get yours at ProFabrication.com.
Hello, my name is Benny Boudreau and I created the Springrthm app. The Springrthm app allows someone who doesn't have access to a spring smasher to be able to set their car up to their manufacturer's suggested install loads and center to centers, as well as be able to figure out their dynamic loads, as well as make adjustments to them to make their handling of their car better. For someone who does have a spring smasher, Springrthm will greatly reduce the amount of time to figure out those new stack setups by allowing for instantaneous spring rate changes as well as load changes. Springrthm will even make sure that your setup doesn't coil bind at the loads that you're trying to hit. For only $4.99 a month, you too can have access to the same information that top late model teams across the country are using to gain a competitive advantage.
It rose from humble beginnings in the Valley of the Sun. A sprint car racer saw the need for racing shirts. And now, the vision of Carl Korbacher has resulted in Arizona Sport Shirts helping racers across America spread their message. For the best custom designed shirts, hoodies, caps, koozies, and much more, go to ArizonaSportShirts.com. Be part of history. Arizona Sport Shirts, the original racing shirt.
Racers that win, pour it in, and we appreciate you.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway for tonight's Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series Smoky Mountain 50. Adam, we've talked about the track a lot. Let's dive into tonight's racing information.
That's right. I mentioned there'll be some differences. This one's going to be 68 degrees, partly cloudy, no precipitation. And a little bit of a late starter time as well. 8:30 p.m. will hit with the Houston Guttering time trials, followed by the carrier heat races, followed by the Combs Cut Last Chance Showdown, and then the Coolray feature. So what's interesting about this one also, 10 more laps. You think, okay, 10 more laps in the feature, that's not that big of a difference. It is, especially when you look at that wind speed. It actually just went from 18 to 19 miles per hour. Very windy day. That affects a lot of things. Everything from the dirt on the track to the guys racing around that. And when you're trying to avoid contact, which sometimes is not avoided in this series, as we've seen, I think that wind will play a factor as well. So as much as things are the same, they're different quite a bit, I think, with the weather factoring in. So this one's going to run later into the night. I think it'll be slicker. So I'm really eager to see how that plays with the drivers tonight.
So we look at the hot lap times. Dylan Perry shot right up to the top. Tater Williams, Steven Spees, John Hine, and Aiden Young are all within 600ths of each other, very fast. And then just behind them is John Foskey. So again, it's the cream rising to the top as usual with the fast cars. One thing of note, Steven Spees last night, Coast to Coast Racing League UMP Modifieds, picked up a victory at I-55 Speedway in Missouri. So he'll look to go back-to-back tonight.
And that's a name that has been consistent in this series. You know, I look at the standings right now. He's 7th. He's 101 points out. He's got 3 top 5, 5 top 10s. So he's got some good laps so far, that 21.08. But take a look at Dylan Hutchison. He had a 14.06. So Hutchison's a name that we tend to mention every broadcast. We don't always mention him in that top 5, top 3. But I think that's going to be one that when we make our picks later, one to watch, Dylan Hutchison.
So a lot of excitement coming into tonight. Dylan Perry won last week here. He looks to go back-to-back. We've got a lot of cars here tonight. We've got 20 car field, so we'll go through all our heats. We'll have our Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown to set tonight's 50-lap event. Adam, it's that time of the night. Who is your pick to come out of here victorious tonight?
I think, two-part to that. I think Justin Thompson has a better night than he had last week. I know there were a little bit of a mix-up in the heats, and he just, from then on, it just wasn't his night. But Thompson has been the guy that we call Mr. Consistency, and I'm sorry if I'm, sounding like a broken record, but we say it every week because it's true. He's consistent, so I want to see a strong top 10, hopefully top 5 finish from Justin Thompson. But if you ask me who the winner is, I think the easy money is Dylan Perry. Who would I like to see? I'd like to see Tater Williams, a veteran in this series, pick up a win. So I threw out 3 names there. But Tater, I know you're not supposed to cheer for guys, but I really would like to see him get in victory lane very soon this season. How about yourself?
Well, Tater was very fast at Weed Sport. We talked about it before. Had an issue on a restart that put him to the rear after he really dominated and was really setting up to have a really good finish against him and Dylan up there. I look at this. I think Tater's a good pick. I think Aiden Young. I'm going to go with him. He's one that's willing to test around, move around the track, see what's available. We know he likes to go low. I think the high side is going to be the lane, but he's one of them that has enough car control to try some different lanes and try to make something else happen.
He does, and what I like about Aiden Young is he just seems to avoid contact. In the times that I have seen him get mixed up, it's basically the decision where I have nowhere else to go but into the guy who just crashed in front of me. So what I really like that Aiden Young has control. I'm looking to see John Hine, and that's a name, Joshua Johnson. These are all names that we mentioned quite a bit, even in the carrier heat races, but I want to start mentioning more of these names in the front of the pack, battling for 4th or 5th tonight. I want that to start tonight, and I think it'll happen. I think the way this track is set up, a later, slicker night at Bristol, I think we'll have a few more names mentioned than even last week.
And it's interesting. We have some guys that just are consistently up front and fast, but there's been some guys that have been able to get up to the 6th to 12th range. I'm looking at hot laps. You've got Zach Chapman up there, Brandon Bender, Cody Early, DC Smith ran really well here last Wednesday. You mentioned Josh Johnson, and even Dylan Hutchinson, who's 14th in hot laps, but he was able to make some moves last week as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the different track conditions to do, who's able to take advantage of those and be faster than maybe last week.
Well, and there's a pride factor to this league right now. The 107 Tire and Service Center rookies, they're continuing to dominate with all the wins here in 2022. So it's time for the guys who are veterans of the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series to say, hey, I was in this league before you, and I plan to be here as long as you or long past you. So that's why I brought up Tater Williams earlier, and he's had chances. It's not like, the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series veterans are just getting lapped. It's just really tough competition, and these rookies are bringing it. You look at the fast times right now. Speeds, Hine, Young, Foskey, Carlton, Chapman, Thompson, and you even have Van Weston down there towards the bottom right now. But these are guys who belong in this league, and they're proving it.
It's going to be fun to see. So Dylan Perry was the fastest in hot laps. He turned a 15.88. You see it went between 15.88 and a 16.40. So a lot of speed out there, a lot of quick laps. And it's going to be 50 laps around this track for tonight's feature for the Smoky Mountain 50. But first, we'll have some Houston Guttering time trials set to begin in about a minute and a half. Then we'll have our carrier heat races, our Combs Cut Last Chance Showdown, and then, of course, our Smoky Mountain 50 Coolray feature event tonight. The fans are climbing into their seats, Adam, and it looks like it's going to be another wonderful night of racing here in Tennessee.
It will be, and it's something we talk about usually in the middle part of the broadcast, but I want to ask this question, and I want to know, when it comes to the caution laps, we've seen races this season where a lot of them will come at the beginning. A lot of them will come, towards the end. We've had some pretty decent races where we get a pretty, decent green flag run. Yes, there's 10 more laps. I want to know, what are we thinking over under on cautions? If you're setting the line, I think they might be more than last week, but I don't imagine a ton more, even with 10 more laps. What are you thinking we're going to see tonight?
It's been interesting. Last week seemed very quick. There was a couple spurts of cautions, but then it picked back up, and really with a lot of them getting in line up around that high side, There wasn't a lot of contact. You really had to work it to try to make a pass, and nobody really put themselves in a dangerous position. The heat races actually had more contact than the feature event did. So I think a couple things will come in play. The carrier heat race is how it sets the field. If we get some contenders that maybe start back in the pack, I think they'll be ones to force it a little bit more. And then also, I think there's some guys that are just looking to have a good finish before we take a break here through the rest of April, that are going to try to make some moves that maybe they wouldn't make otherwise. As it looks like practice is finished, and we'll start getting towards Houston Guttering time trials.
Can't wait for it. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. This is going to be this is a time where you're going to see some aggressive driving, but you also have to remember these guys, they know there's going to be a ton of time off. So you don't want to get wrecked too early in the race, and then you have to sit out a whole entire month, at least from this league. I know these guys, they're racing a lot of different series. They race for fun. Some of them race in real life. So they're going to be behind the wheel. But in terms of this series, you want to end it on a high note. And for one of these lucky guys, it's going to end on a win. But having talked to some of the drivers, we know how important these time trials are going to be as we see Zach Chapman roll out right now. Mr. Chapman out of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The Coolray Heating and Cooling, Brite Box Electrical Services, VMR Wraps, and Gambler Motorsports Car. And Travis, you and I mention it every single week. We love this paint scheme.
Yes, we do, as he makes his first lap around. He's out there with John Hine as well. We'll see Zach's first lap as he makes his way down the backstretch. And his first lap will be a 16.32, as the number 71 of John Hine is also out on the track. John comes from St. Louis, Missouri in his Rayburn chassis, the Cruise Shop FW.com, VMR Wraps, Coolray Heating and Cooling, Gambler Motorsports number 71. His first lap was a 16.24, which puts him first, and his second lap was not quicker, so that will be his best time of that outing.
I think that's a number he should be proud of. John Hine, early, it's early, but that's a quick time right now, especially in front of Zach Chapman, who saw a lot of success for portions of last week's race, as it looks like we're waiting to see who's going to pop out next. That will be the three of race director Cody Early, the Warrior Race Car, Food City Bass Pro Shops, Vortex Wraps, Vic Hill Race Engines, and Oakley. Looking nice. I just love the classic look of that free car. As he turns his first laps, we'll try and get you a time here in a moment. Running that middle lane, it looks like right now. Coming up high as he approaches the final turn. See what he puts down right there. That's good enough for third, a 17.6 flat, as we see the number 55 of Steven Speeds out there in the Midwest Turbo and Performance, MTTurbo.com, and Gambler Motorsports car. He's riding a little lower right now. He's looking quick. See here, he gets around there. Yep, he sure is quick as he puts down the fastest speed so far. It's still early, but that's a 16.22. 700ths of a second faster than John Hine behind him. So that's a very fast speed for Steven Speeds. Almost like he's carrying some of that momentum from last night's race that you brought up, Travis, as we see. It looks like Mr. Dylan Hutchison out there. Hutchison out of Holt Summit, Missouri. He's got the CBR 25 ZB Photos, Combs Cuts, and KMJ Graphics car. Ooh, gets a little wide. That's going to hurt the time. I'm curious to see how he recovers. He'll still have a second lap, though, to put something on the ground as we see Aiden Young. Don't forget to mention Mr. Aiden Young, guy we brought up earlier. He's got the Capital Race cars, racing with that beautiful Coolray blue and white. He put down a 16.67. As mentioned earlier, Hutchison got a little wobbly there, even behind Cody right now. A 17.85 was his last lap time, and he's good enough to pop up a little bit higher to 16.8 flat. Aiden Young, 16.48, good enough for fourth. As you can see on the left side of your screen, still a lot of drivers left to come, but a pretty solid start right now.
Now entering the track, the 117 of Joshua Johnson from Waynesville, Georgia, and his Capital Race Cars Vortex Wraps, KHJ Powder Coating Vortex Motorsports Machine. He'll make his first lap around Bristol Motor Speedway. Makes it down the backstretch, comes around 3 and 4 to complete his first lap. We'll see where that places him. It'll be a 16.70, which will put him currently 5th fastest, 5th of 7 cars as he makes his second lap around. And his second lap complete will be quicker, a 16.51, keep him 5th out of 7 cars so far in Houston Guttering time trials.
You know, if there's a week to watch, you know, the time trials very closely, this is the one. It's very important. I'm eager to see. I don't know, are we getting Andy coming up soon? Nice looking car right there. I know he's got a new rig he's riding in. So really eager to see where, you know, we still have more than half the field to go. But very early, we have Spies, Hine, Chapman, and Young, all 4 rookies to the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series, all off to a hot start here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Really enjoying these track views as well. Like you can tell, the crowd is beginning to file in some.
As always, brother Andy, setting up cameras in the heat this afternoon here in Bristol, Tennessee, getting ready, and it looks like Dylan Perry is out on the track, made his first lap, a 16.31, puts him 3rd fastest in his number 7 machine. We'll see what he does on the second lap. Jacob Lassiter also out there, 5th fastest with a 16.39 his first lap. So 2 fast cars out on the track right now. Jacob Lassiter's second lap, a 16.31. which puts him 4th fastest, and Dylan Perry ends up with a 16.29, 3rd fastest.
If you're Steven Spies or John Hine, you are breathing a sigh of relief that Perry is not in front of you right now. As we see right now, the number 224 of Brett Carlton is in the Southern Styles Racing Engines, Chip Bangers Racing, LC Property Investments, Rocket XR1 ride. We'll see where he puts down that first lap. He's toggling. This looks like it's going to be a fast one. He just hit 125 miles per hour on that straightaway, if you could call it that. I think we're going to see a quick time from Mr. Carlton. Let's see where that flops him. Puts him up 6 with a 16.34. And then you'll see the number 1 of Colin Boyles put down a 16.44 as he gets ready for his second one. Boyles in the Pierce Platinum ride with Mount Zion Auto Service, Mount Zion Auto Express, and Dependable Concrete on his ride. Carlton really fast there, puts a 16.28, so yes, his car is fast as Boyles goes from 16.57, so that puts him 7th at the moment.
Now entering the track, the 182 of Tater Williams. Tater Williams has 5 career Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series victories. He's from Clifty, Kentucky, Longhorn Chassis, Coolray, Chip Bangers Racing, Comb Cuts, B&B Custom Baits, DPR, Bangin' Sets, Phantom Race Engines, and Stealth Carburetors. He's been fast. Beautiful looking car here tonight with that white and green. He makes his first lap around. And it will be a 16.47, good enough for 8th fastest currently. Also out on the track with him right now is the number 12 Jordan Van Westen machine. He's from Del Rapids, South Dakota. Elite Chassis, Midstate Machine, Bodies by FRC, Rosenbauer of America, Pizza Ranch, Norby Bar and Grill, TNC Self Service. His first lap comes to a close, and it will be waiting for timing to come through.
Got a little loose there for a moment, it looked like.
It's going to be a 17.92, good enough for 13th fastest.
Then we got Mr. John Foskey out there in the number 128. Your current points leader of Coleman and Son Painting, Bangin' Sets, B&B Baits, Combs Cuts, and Chip Bangers Racing. Really excited to see what lap time he puts down as he hits 125 as the fastest speed right there. We're starting to see those mid 120s approach I'm eager to see where that places him. I would guess maybe for sure top 10, hopefully top 6 possibly, when he gets around to his first timed lap. Yes, that puts him 5th with a 16.30. Wow, right smack dab in the middle, 1/100th of a second behind Dylan Perry and 1/100th of a second in front of Jacob Lasser. So it is tight racing right now.
So Foskey will end up 5th fastest. We have 6 cars to go as we wait for them to make their way out.
I'm eager to see. When it comes to who do I want to see next, I really want to see Justin Thompson, 3rd in the points, and I also want to see Andy Piercefield. He did not actually qualify last week, so this will be our first opportunity to see, a solo car out there. How will he perform? It kind of has a newish rig right now as well, so a lot to be said about how he'll feel about this track coming from his qualifying run, as we see Cody Terry out there, the number 25. He's got the Longhorn chassis with ground bound calls, Spencer Boyd LLC, Combs Cuts, CBR, tight and loose off, and banging sets. Nice looking car. Puts down a 17.22, good enough for 14th. Second lap, 16.63, puts him 13th, so bumps up 1 spot. Of course, you have Brendan Bender out there as well. Bender with the B&B Bates, Combs Cuts, banging sets, and CBR Longhorn chassis. He put down a 16.33, good enough for 9th.
Next up is going to be the 41 machine of Brian Voiles from Decatur, Illinois. Longhorn chassis, dependable concrete, Hoosiers by Smash Flag, Maverick Simulations. Takes the green flag for his first lap. Interesting to see the speeds. They're much slower than they were earlier in the night with hot laps, as the 41 Voiles machine makes his way around for his first completed lap. And it will be a 16.59, good enough for 13th, as now we see the number 75 of Andy Piercefield out of Woodstock, Georgia, his Masterbuilt race car, Coolray heating and air conditioning, Arizona Sport Shirts, CBR, Extreme eSpeed TV number 75. His first lap was a 16.56, good enough for 14th. His second lap is a 16.43, good enough for 11th, as Brian Voiles completes his second lap for a 16.35, as he will be 1 spot ahead of Andy in the 10th spot.
That'll bring us to Justin Thompson right now. Mr. Thompson, he's got the Hood Up Motorsports, Thompson Designs, Sim Motion US, Simagic Dirt Chasers Media, and Grassroots Media Ride. A lot of sponsors, and you'll see why. This is a driver that continues to impress this season. He's a rookie, by definition, but you watch him, he's anything but that. We'll see what his first time is, but that's a good start. I want to mention Andy Piercefield. He mentioned that he's probably a top 12 car. He puts it there with 11, so hopefully he can stay there. We got he and DC Smith to go, and wow, Justin Thompson rockets to the top with a 16.28, actually tied with the time that Brett Carlton put down. We're going to quickly jump to our final one of number 29, DC Smith. He's got Riverside Fabrication, CBR, B&B Bates, Combs Cuts, and Bangin' Sets by CBR on his car. DC Smith puts down a 16.57. That'll put him in 16th, and then follows it up with a 16.45, putting him in 14th. So the field is set, at least for our carrier heat races. It is Justin Thompson with a fast 16.22, good enough for first, followed by Spees, Hine, Carlton, and Perry, rounding out the top 5. So very entertaining. This grid is looking nice. This is not any surprise to us at all.
And now we head into carrier heat races, Adam. We will get those lineups here shortly. A lot of fast cars. We did see the track get quite a bit slower from hot laps during Houston Guttering time trials there. Some guys were trying some different lanes. DC Smith there at the end was running quite a bit lower than everybody else. So it'll be interesting to see where they all shake out as we wait for timing and scoring to complete. they'll start lining up for Carrier Heat Race number 1. You know, we talked about Dylan Perry being fast here, won last week. He was 5th fastest in time trials, Adam. Justin Thompson shot to the top, who you mentioned, and then like we said, Steven Spies flying in from Missouri, where he raced last night at I-55, 2nd fastest after that travel across the country.
You know, there's so many storylines that we could talk about here, and I'm glad Justin Thompson's already having a better week than what we saw last week. Steven Spies, talk about riding good momentum. He sure is right now. And yeah, Carlton, that's another name we want to watch. We've mentioned it. He's always been fast in qualifying. And here is our starting lineup there for Carrier Heat Race number 1. We'll have Thompson next to Carlton, Lassiter next to Bender, Voiles next to Johnson, and then rounding out the rear, Cody Early.
As we have our iRacing pace truck out on the track, as always, driven by Terry Patterson, as he will lead this field of 7 to green as we head into Carrier Heat Race number 1.
You know, as I mentioned just a moment ago, you know, Carlton, he's always so fast at the beginning of these races. I want to see him carry this into like the showdowns. I want to see this, you know, come all the way to completion. So Justin Thompson, that's a name that I want to see how he races these boys today. He got a little bit of bad luck in the Carrier Heat races last week. If he can just stay out front, stay out of trouble, I think he'll be sitting pretty for the feature race tonight.
So Justin Thompson, Brett Carlton will lead us off to green here tonight with Heat Race number 1. Another one to watch, that second row of Jacob Lassiter and Brandon Bender, Adam. 2 fast cars we've seen make some moves throughout the season thus far. And as we found out last Wednesday, positioning from these heat races and Last Chance Showdown are very important, as it looks like we are going green this time by iRacing pace truck pulls in. Justin Thompson and Brett Carlton will lead us to green as they go into 1 and 2 side by side. Contact early as Lassiter is the one to take advantage of it. More contact in the back, but Lassiter will come out of 2 as the leader.
That was quick, and that was quite a bit of contact. Lassiter holding that lead, but Thompson, give him credit. He did not lose any ground as they're now single file. Very stark difference from what we saw at the beginning of most of the heat races last week.
Lassiter leads us down as there's contact back in the pack. It looks like we will stay green thus far, as it looked like Carlton and maybe Cody Early got together back and forth.
I'm not used to seeing this much contact in these heat races, as they're arguably 3 wide right there, and if you count the quarter panel. So I'm loving this race as Thompson has retaken the lead. Bender coming up. Bender, an underrated 6th seed right now, 6th in the point standings. This is the guy you want to watch as he falls back a little bit to 4th. They're moving quite a bit right there, Travis.
And it was a power move by Thompson, able to get by on the inside. That was something we weren't able to see last week, as he's able to pull away from Bender and Lassiter now, as they've got 4 laps to go in this heat race number 1.
If each heat is like this, I'm going to be pretty excited. This is some great action right now. I think they're starting to fan out. I think we might see a little bit more drama in these final 2 laps, but I mean, we're already down to 3 laps to go, so buckle in, folks. This is a very young night as we see a little wiggle in there from Cody Early. I'm going to just keep up with the pack right now.
As they're still side by side with Bender and Lassiter, a second as Thompson will take 2 laps to go at Bristol. Makes his way through 1 and 2 as we will ride on the nose of his car down the backstretch at Bristol and into 3 and 4. You can really see the speed of this track from this camera angle as he makes his way to the front stretch.
You sure can, and that is a view Justin Thompson is going to want to have all night, and if he races like this, he certainly will.
So 22 of Bender's able to get past Lassiter as Thompson will come through 3 and 4 for the last time in Carrier Heat Race number 1 and claim victory with Brandon Bender second, Lassiter third. So Heat Race number 1 is done with. We will take a look at that finishing order.
That's right. Justin Thompson, Brandon Bender, Jacob Lassiter, your top 3, followed by Colin Boyles, Brett Carlton, Cody Early, and Joshua Johnson. Looking at our starting lineup now for Carrier Heat Race number 2. Let's bring it up, and that'll be Steven Spees up top next to Dylan Perry. Second row of Zach Chapman and Brian Boyles. Third row of DC Smith and Cody Terry. And rounding out the rear will be Mr. Jordan Van Weston. So some names that are definitely ones to watch, not only in a Carrier Heat Race like this, but really all season. They've provided their own sorts of drama. And Dylan Perry, will he be able to, crush it on the restart? He does it so well when we're in the, the feature event. I'm eager to see if he just pulls away right here.
He will start in the preferred outside line. It'll be interesting to see what Chapman and Spees are able to do on that inside line. And then Brian Boyles looked really good in Houston Guttering time trials, so we'll see if he can make a move, as this field is packed 1 through 7, as always, for our Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series. So we'll make one more lap around this half-mile track.
DC Smith, he's also a name that we really talked about early in our broadcast, and sometimes he gets a little lost in the shuffle at times during the main event, but I do think DC Smith has a few tricks up his sleeve like he does every single week. So I'm excited to see what he does here.
So Dylan Perry, Steven Spees will make their way through 3 and 4 as the iRacing pace truck leads them around. Will dive down pit road. They make their way through turn 4 and will get us back to green at Bristol. Dylan Perry able to pull away on that outside, really stretches out the field as the front 3 are able to pull away. Chapman tries to make a move on the inside, but it's going to be Dylan Perry coming off of turn 2.
Perry is just so consistent. I don't know what it is with he and restarts, but he knows how to do them, and he knows how to do them well. As you see, Zach Chapman kind of holding his own there in third, but really, at the moment, it's Steven Spees and Dylan Perry controlling Carrier Heat Race number 2.
As they are stretched out around the field, Dylan Perry's able to pull away from Steven Spees. We've got 6 laps to go. Spees second, Chapman third, DC Smith fourth, and the 41 of Brian Boyles. As Dylan Perry has been the fastest thus far in Heat Race number 2, collects another lap down, and he will lead them through 1 and 2.
I don't know what the secret sauce is for this track, but Dylan Perry has it right now, a 0.65 gap and growing almost to point. I mean, we're getting close to him having a full second lead. I mean, Dylan Perry just makes it look easy no matter what lane he's in.
Currently 2/10 faster of best laps over Steven Spees, so plenty of action as we see the 29 machine of DC Smith. Will go to our Coolray instant replay. Watch the 29 machine, 41 behind him. Looks like a crossover move. Oh, they make contact and shoots the 29 into the outside wall.
It's not too common that we see, cautions in these Carrier Heat races, but that was enough to bring it out. A lot of times you see a caution towards the end, there's kind of chaos towards the line, but not here.
And that was a hard hit for the 29 machine, so we will see if his crew is able to get him patched back together. Probably be in the Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown to set his place in tonight's Smoky Mountain 50.
That's what I like. If you do make a mistake or you do get in an accident in the Carrier Heat races, you have really good opportunities to, not only Last Chance Showdown, but in the feature race. Like, there's a lot of laps still to be had here. I mean, keep in mind, between this, the Last Chance Showdown, we still have 50 lap feature tonight. 10 more laps than last week if you're just tuning in. So while things are similar, they're also very different this evening from Bristol Motor Speedway as the pace truck trying to get everybody back together. Race control always doing a great job trying to set the field, make sure everybody's right where they need to be. And once they get all herded back together, ready to see it. Really, what would this be? A 3 or 4 lap shootout to the end.
As we mentioned, another phenomenal crowd here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We're back here for the second straight week. You can really see there's 2 lines. You've kind of got one down on the inside right now, where the inside of the asphalt track is, or the concrete track, and then you have the outer line as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes. Those 2 really merged together last week. We'll see if it does the same. As it looks like that outside line is the preferred line and the fastest line again this week, as it looks like the caution lights are still on, and it looks like our pace truck driver is trying to pull away from the field like he was last week. Super fast truck tonight.
Yeah, much like last week, and I don't know what it is about Bristol. That he's got a lead foot, and the guys, they're not keeping pace, but he's almost a full quarter turn in front of them. So we're watching with you guys, seeing the same things you guys see at home. So speaking of watching from home, if you're watching on Extreme eSpeed TV, give us a comment. Let us know who you're watching. We always enjoy chatting back and forth with you guys, especially when you drop your predictions. So let us know. The night is still very young. We're excited to have you here with us.
As the pace truck pulls down pit road, the lights are off, and Dylan Perry leads us back to green at Bristol as he pulls away from Spees as they go into 1 and 2. Chapman third, Terry fourth. Perry continues his dominance as he's able to pull about a half second away from Spees as he will come to 2 laps to go.
And I think what makes this so impressive is a guy like Steven Spees, Zach Chapman, the guys battling to keep pace with Dylan Perry. They're not bad racers at all. That just shows you how strong Dylan Perry is. And as the season has gone on, he's only getting stronger, and that's a credit to him. I don't know if it's the real life work he does or if it's getting in the rig and practicing his laps. He is just so consistent, and he's only getting stronger.
So Dylan Perry celebrated last week here at Bristol with the feature victory, celebrated his birthday last night, and will celebrate a Carrier Heat Race victory here tonight as he claims Carrier Heat Race number 2.
We'll pull up that that finishing. Of course, Dylan Perry up top, Steven Spees second, Zach Chapman third, followed by Terry, Voiles, Van Westen, and Smith. But the top 3. That'll bring us to our starting lineup for the final one, Carrier Heat Race number 3. John Hine up top next to the points leader, John Foskey. So a couple of Johns, followed by Tater Williams, Andy Piercefield, and in the rear, Aiden Young and Dylan Hutchinson.
Looking at our YouTube channel chat, looks like Justin Thompson hopped in there after his Carrier Heat Race number 1 win. Little redemption from last week, he mentions. Congratulations on that. And then Jonathan Holstein, he's picking Aiden Young, so he's a fan of that 69 machine in this Carrier Heat Race, looking to go for victory here tonight as a deep field in this Carrier Heat Race number 3.
A little bit of the old versus the new, the veterans versus the rookies. We have 3 rookies to the league and 3 established names to the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series organization. So Hine, Foskey, and Young kind of versus Williams, Piercefield, and Hutchinson. That's how I'm looking at it. This is not the main event. This is not the feature, but it is a Carrier Heat Race, and it does mean something. And I'm kind of looking at it as rookies versus vets.
So Carrier Heat Race number 3. This will actually be our final Carrier Heat Race of the night, as we have 20 cars in tonight's field. And then it will be the Combs Cut's Last Chance Showdown.
I think this will be an opportunity for our viewers to see what John Foskey can do.
As Hine and Foskey will come out of 4 and lead us to green. And we are back to green at Bristol, side by side, the first 2 rows as they go into 1 and 2. Hine's able to jump up in front of Foskey with Andy Piercefield behind them on the outside, but Tater Williams battles on that inside line.
A little bit of contact there in the back for Andy Piercefield, but he's making up ground on Hutchison. But like you said, up front, it is a three-way battle for the lead. Almost four if Aiden Young can get up there. Beautiful camera angle right there as they pass the Sunoco fuel sign. It is John Hines continuing to hold his own, but if there's one name you don't want to see behind you, it's Tater Williams. And he got a little loose there, and that was all to John Foskey's gain, but it looks like Tater Williams is not out of it yet.
As you can put a blanket over those front three, Foskey's able to get past Williams. Now he's got his sights on Hine, who's been able to lead thus far. As Foskey makes a move on the inside at the start-finish line, doesn't make it, gets into the back of Hine, a little bit going into one as they slide together, coming through two.
That is contact, but that is respect between those two racers. Love this action right now. John Hine held his own. It got a little wobbly. Tater Williams now officially in second place if you go off scoring, but Aiden Young, he's just creeping back there. What did I mention earlier? Aiden Young avoids contact, so when they mess up, Aiden Young will be waiting.
Aiden Young joins the party as it's Hine, Foskey, Williams, and Young. Hine's able to hold off Foskey on the high side, but Foskey's getting ready to pounce as he makes his move on the outside of Tater Williams. Really good racing with 3 laps to go in Carrier Heat Race number 3.
And I'm having fun. This is racing we haven't seen a lot of from John Hine. Not because he doesn't have it in him, but really, we haven't had these opportunities. So John Hine is holding his own. Can he do it for another, lap and a half? I think he can, but he's got some scary competition behind him.
We talked about how hard it is to pass here. All 3 cars are extremely fast, but getting by that leader is a whole nother story as it's white flag. One more lap for John Hine, and Foskey and Williams will try to get by him as they make their way through 1 and 2.
A lot of contact there for Tater Williams. That's probably going to eliminate his chance at winning this one. But John Hine, it's all yours.
John Hine will claim Carrier Heat Race number 3. That will complete our Carrier Heat Race events for tonight here at Bristol. We'll pop up that finishing lineup from Carrier Heat Race number 3.
And I will say that was one of the more fun ones we've seen as of late. John Hine, followed by John Foskey, Tater Williams and Aiden Young battling real hard, but finishing 3rd, 4th. And then Dylan Hutchison and Andy Piercefield rounding out the final 2 in Carrier Heat Race number 3.
It's now time for our Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown. Adam, you got our starting lineup?
Yes, sir, I do. Up top, it'll be Brett Carlton and his speedy number 224, right next to Brian Boyles. Second line, it'll be Dylan Hutchison and Cody Early, followed by the duo of Jordan Van Westen and Andy Piercefield. And rounding out the final 2 will be Joshua Johnson and DC Smith. So I'm really eager to see really who pulls away with this. I think we're going to see some bumping, some grinding, and some passing, which I'm actually really excited to see here in the Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown. Once again, Combs Cuts, be a cut above.
There ain't nothing wrong with a little bumping and grinding here at Bristol Motor Speedway, Adam, as it's the Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown to set the field for tonight's Smoky Mountain 50, as we've got Carlton and Voiles will lead us to the green flag.
You know, if there's ones I'm watching, look for Andy Piercefield. I think he got the qualifying spot that he wanted in the Houston Guttering time trials. I don't think it went well. I saw him have a little bit of contact with the ball early in that Carrier Heat Race. So I think he's got maybe a little bad taste in his mouth. I want to see where he finishes up here. Carlton, as we've talked about, really fast car, especially in these early, parts of these nights that we raced. But I want to see if he can carry this one to a dominant last chance showdown victory, and then I want to see him do that in the race. And I think he has it. It's just a matter of executing and hitting his marks.
As the pace truck turns his lights off, we've got some comments. We've got Hunt in the high side rooting for Andy Piercefield. If you've got a pick, throw it in there in the chat. As we've got Carlton and Voiles round turn 4, and they will take the green flag at Bristol, able to pull away as there is side-by-side racing throughout the field, but it's going to be Carlton and Hutchinson that take advantage through 1 and 2.
Wouldn't be shocked here if we get maybe another lap or so, we get some contact. These guys are moving. Ooh, Cody into the wall. Not too good for Cody, and I'm not sure, do we have a caution out at the moment? Yellow flag has been thrown. see if we can get the Coolray instant replay. Coolray is Atlanta's #1 for heating and cooling. And watch kind of the center of your screen, and then it'll fluctuate to the top of the screen as Cody gets a little loose. Not sure exactly what happened there, but it did affect, I believe, DC Smith in the back as well.
Yeah, DC Smith, him and his team worked really hard to get that car back together after that carrier heat race crash, and then caught up in a second wreck there. None of his doing, but does catch him as he makes his way through 3 and 4. You know, one move I saw there that was interesting when we talked about him a little bit is that number 75 machine of Andy Piercefield. He came out of turn 2, shot the gap. You see a little bit of damage there, but he was able to make some moves going through 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to see. I think him and Voiles are really looking to make up some ground and improve their starting position in that feature event tonight.
You know, you're right, and I think the caution was necessary, but really, if you're Andy, I think he had that good momentum. He might be a little bummed that flag came out. I think he was gaining some ground. It's not exactly to say that Brett Carlton and Dylan Hutchinson were pulling away either. So, little brother Andy, maybe he'll do a little work there, don't you think, and get the big guy back out there.
I'm sure he will massage that 75 machine back to health, as we've got them going around at least one more lap, probably going back to green. Great job by the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series officials, as always, getting the field set. As you see Jordan Van Westen there in row 3, cooling down his tires down there on the inside. And it's going to be Carlton and Hutchinson, the front row. Andy Piercefield third, up 3 spots. Brian Voiles in 4th. And it looks like Cody Early is also back out there, so he'll try to get back out there and get back in that, as it looks like the pace lights are still on. We'll make at least one more lap around this half-mile speedway.
And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect time to remind you to subscribe, like us on the Facebook page. Facebook is Extreme eSpeed TV or the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series, and of course on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. We're excited. We got a lot more broadcasts this season. It really is still it's the 7th race of the year. Still a lot of racing still to go, and still a lot of unknowns. There's no clear-cut dominant car. Yes, Dylan Perry, he's got the wins, but John Foskey, 1 point above in the point standings. So you're going to see a lot of that fun tonight if you're just tuning in with us for the first time, or you've been with us all 7 races.
As the iRacing pace truck dives down onto pit road, Carlton and Hutchinson will lead us back to green, and we are back to green in the Combs Cuts last chance showdown. 7 laps to go. They'll actually do a complete restart, so we'll have 8 laps to go. As it looks like the 75 machine of Andy Piercefield gets sideways in turn 2. We will take a Coolray instant replay look at that.
It's unfortunate that the Coolray replay is focusing on the Coolray driver. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Let's take a look here. 75 car of Andy Piercefield, maybe a little loose, and then got contact. I think he would have been able to recover that if he didn't get run into. So tough for Andy. We were just talking about how good of a run he was having. It looks like he's in 7th right now, but we're going to see how race control shakes it out and sets it once they're ready to go green again. But really a bummer to see that.
And the 29 machine of DC Smith was caught up in that one. Talk about the wrong place at the wrong time tonight. Hopefully his luck turns before this feature event tonight.
It has to at this point. And it's tough because DC's had moments like that this season that it's just been hard to avoid contact. As good as DC has been at racing, he's got that bad luck, and as good as Aiden Young is at avoiding contact like that, I think DC has been on the other end of some of those moments and cautions this season. So hopefully the car is still good. It looks like he's still out there on the track, which is great to see. You especially don't want to lose him in the last chance showdown. So and yeah, you got Cody Early out there rebounding from a little bit of an accident earlier in this Combs Cut last chance showdown. So again, don't want to bang these cars up too much. We still got a whole 50 laps to go.
A home race for our race director of Cody Early here in Eastern Tennessee, and his number 3 Food City late model. great to see him as always. He puts a ton of work. We'd be remiss in not giving him a shout out and a huge thank you for everything he does for this Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series.
100%. I think he was able to bring some family in tonight up in the stands. Very full stands. I know there's a few seats looks like open, and I'm probably getting concessions getting ready for the Smoky Mountain 50 feature race. So, but yes, you're right, Cody. All the work he does for us, all the news that we broke earlier in the broadcast, that all comes from the man himself. So, thank you to Cody for this great night of racing that we've seen so far and that we're about to see.
Pace Truck takes a healthy lead out ahead as the Pace Truck lights are off. Carlton and Hutchinson on that front row will lead us back, as it looks like Andy Piercefield and DC Smith are off the track. We're down to 6 in this Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown, and Carlton takes us back to green at Bristol. He's able to jump in front of the 95 of Hutchinson as they head into 1 and 2.
That's good. That's what I wanted to see from Carlton, and so far so good. As it looks like, I can't tell which car that was, but got a little loose. So it's basically 3 up top, 3 in the back, and the separation is quite clear as we see a little dive in there by Joshua Johnson, not able to really get much closer to Dylan Hutchinson, but still early. It looks like 6 official laps to go, but a strong and healthy lead for Brett Carlton.
That first time through 1 and 2, Hutchinson was able to get through 1 and 2, and the apex of the corner really took off, able to pick up some ground on Carlton in the middle of the corner. As Carlton runs a little bit lower of a line, it'll be interesting to see if the 95 of Hutchinson's able to get up beside him.
I think we'll have a chance. Still a lot of racing left to go. They didn't take any off around those cautions, so plenty of laps to go. I wonder what this does to the track, though. This is changing the track for the feature. I mean, look at how dark it is right there, and then lightens out a little bit on that straightaway, but man, it is starting to darken up specifically right there as you see on your screen, and they're all kind of taking that high line.
As the leaders come up to the end of the field, it looks like Andy Piercefield made his way back onto the track, as Hutchinson continues to learn a lot following that 224 machine of Carlton, as he looks to try to make a move on him. As we mentioned, they come up to that 75 machine of Andy Piercefield, who stays to the outside.
Wow, Joshua Johnson up 4 spots so far in this lap. Ooh, I just think it's a little loose, and all that does is extend the lead more for Brett Carlton. If he hits his marks, he walks home with a Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown victory.
So the final lap, white flag is out. The 224 of Carlton's able to extend his lead of Hutchinson. He makes his way down the back stretch of Bristol Motor Speedway. He will come through 3 and 4, and he will claim victory in tonight's Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We will get that finishing lineup for you here shortly, as the Smoky Mountain 50 is now set.
That's right. So we got Brett Carlton, never a doubt there, topping that chart. And then behind him, Dylan Hutchinson, Joshua Johnson, Brian Boyles. Final 4 of Jordan Van Westen, Cody Early, Andy Piercefield, and DC Smith. So those last 4 names got a lot of contact in the Last Chance Showdown. Hoping to see their cars improve, a little bit of maintenance, and get ready to go for a 50-lap shootout.
So we've seen 3 carrier heat races, Adam. We saw our Combs Cuts Last Chance Showdown. What's your takeaway as now we look to set the field for the Smoky Mountain 50? Anyone jump out to you that might maybe be able to pull off a surprise win tonight?
I think this is an opportunity for Justin Thompson, Brett Carlton to make their names tonight. We've heard their names. Now they can make it. Now they can forge it in stone. But who are they going to be watching out for? The belated birthday boy himself, Dylan Perry. So it's basically Dylan Perry versus the field coming up pretty soon.
Well, we will let the drivers get prepared for tonight. We have some pre-race events, as always, coming up. We appreciate you tuning in to Extreme eSpeed TV. We are going to head to commercial break. When we come back, we will have your national anthem and dirt racing outreach invocation before tonight's Smoky Mountain 50. You're watching Extreme eSpeed TV.
107 Tire and Service Center is your one-stop shop for all your car care needs, and they're now a Cooper Tire dealer. American tires for the American worker. Buy a set of Cooper tires and get free tire rotation and repairs for the life of the tire. They have a 12,000-mile or 12-month warranty on most repairs. Check out 107 Tire and Service Center. They're located at 6256 Irwin Highway, Chuckey, or call them at 423-620-4970. For all your car care needs, 107 Tire and Service Center. Family owned and operated. And their number one goal is your satisfaction. Find 107 Tire and Service Center on Facebook or call them today at 423-620-4970.
People want to have a one-stop shop. They need us for now all these different services, not just the heating and air side.
When things are going wrong, you want the company that's going to be able to get things done as fast as possible for you.
Today, we're going to be in over 600 homes. What the customers can count on is we're going to send a competent person to your home with a vehicle that's stocked and prepared. We're going to do what's right.
Right now, we're waiving our $79 service fee with any Coolray, Brite Box, or Mr. Plumber service.
We all need hot water. Some of us need more than others. So it's a good thing that State has a wide range of tough commercial-grade water heaters for your home. From standard models to high-efficiency and tankless models, we've got you covered, no matter where you live, what you do, or who started it. To install a State water heater in your home, visit statewaterheaters.com and use our contractor locator to find an installer near you.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway race fans. As we head towards tonight's Smoky Mountain 50, we will have our dirt racing outreach invocation.
Good evening again, everybody. Russ Ward from Dirt Racing Outreach. I want to thank you again for the opportunity to open up tonight's program, so if you would, join me in a word of prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, God, I want to thank you, Lord, for a beautiful spring day that you bless us with. Lord, the sun is shining. It's a little cool here in Ohio. But God, we know that the spring brings new life. And God, we know that through a relationship with your Son, Jesus Christ, we can have new life and eternal life as well. God, thank you for that opportunity that you've given each and every one of us because you love us so much. Lord, I just ask that you be with us in our program tonight. Lord, just be with our drivers as they go and race. Help them make wise decisions in all that they do. But most of all, just grant them an enjoyable evening. God, as always, we thank you for all these things, and we ask it all in Jesus' name. And amen.
And now your national anthem. the pre-race festivities come to a close. We're going to take one more commercial break. When we come back, we will have your starting lineup for the Smoky Mountain 50 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. If you're watching along on YouTube, make sure you jump in the chats. Tell us your pick for winner tonight. And you're watching Extreme eSpeed TV. Welcome back, race fans. We're at Bristol Motor Speedway for the latest race of the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series, the Smoky Mountain 50. The cars are about to get lined up on the track for tonight's feature event. Adam, we watched the heat races. We watched the Last Chance Showdown. If you're watching on YouTube, send us your pick for winner. Who are you going to pick for tonight's feature win?
What I'm really curious about is John Foskey going to hold that 1-point lead? Now, I think he and Dylan Perry, and even really Justin Thompson, they're going to go back and forth a lot this season. But I think tonight's going to be a statement win for one of those three. I'm saying Foskey, Perry, or Thompson, and I almost put that in reverse order of Thompson, Perry, then Foskey. I would love, and I'm actually going to be real encouraged if we see one of these other guys either take a win or just finish in top three. So really, I'm looking at the top of the standings, and I want to see a statement win tonight as we pull up the starting lineup for tonight's Smoky Mountain 50. Up top, it'll be the man we were just speaking of, Justin Thompson on the front row next to Dylan Perry. You're going to want to watch that restart, especially from Perry. That's going to be the biggest trouble, the biggest thorn in the side for Justin Thompson. Second, you'll have John Hine and Brandon Bender. Third row, Steven Spees and John Foskey. Fourth row, Jacob Lassiter and Zach Chapman, followed by Tater Williams and Colin Boyles. Then, of course, Cody Terry and Aiden Young, 11-12. We'll wind down a little bit to 13-14, where you see Brett Carlton and Dylan Hutchinson, followed by Joshua Johnson and Brian Boyles. Then Jordan Van Westen and Cody Early. And rounding out the final two in this 20-car lineup, Andy Piercefield and D.C. Smith.
Apologies for that. It's actually our Coolray feature event, the Smoky Mountain 50, coming at you next. They are lined up throughout the field. iRacing Pace Truck leads us around this half-mile track. It's going to be Justin Thompson, Dylan Perry leading us to green as we will go 4 wide. A salute to the packed house here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Always cool to see as the Terry and 69 machine of Aiden Young move on up to the front.
And I really like, this is an opportunity that, we can do this a second time for these fans. We had to change some of our travel arrangements ourselves, having to come back to Bristol. The Coast to Coast Racing League and Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series, we're actually going to be at Cedar Lake next week. They're going to move a few things around. That's why we're back at Bristol if you've just tuned in. We talked about this earlier, but a great pivot from Cody earlier, our race director, And who doesn't love seeing the 4-wide salute at Bristol Motor Speedway again? I mean, I don't care how many times you work around this sport, how many years. It's really exciting to see something like this. And yeah, credit to the fans for showing up. And to credit to the fans, I think we got a good amount of viewers right now on our YouTube page. So thank you so much. Expecting to see that grow even tonight. Really excited to put on a show for you guys and show some love in the comments. Let these drivers know. Give them some love. Who you're excited to see and who you think will win. Maybe it's the same person, maybe it's not. There we go with the correct feature graphic. We want to thank little brother Andy for scrambling there to get that for us.
The iRacing pace truck lights are off. We'll see if we're going green this time by. As he will make at least one more lap around this 0.533 mile speedway. 50 laps for the Smoky Mountain 50, and looking for our latest winner during the 2022 Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series season.
And look, I mean, the cars are really covering a very slick track right now. So, like you talked about earlier, Travis, Aiden Young, he does seem to enjoy the low line, but I don't think you're going to be able to do that. I think eventually that low line might open up, but just look at how dark, especially right there. It is slick, and I do think, as we talked about as well, there are going to be some cautions tonight, and I just want to see when and where.
As Thompson and Perry will round turn 4, come down the front stretch here at Bristol, and they will lead us to green in the Smoky Mountain 50 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Perry's able to pull out on the top side, but Thompson fights back on the inside coming through too.
A little bit of contact. Everybody's trying to avoid it right now, but up top, who is it? Dylan Perry and Justin Thompson, and that is exactly what we did not want to see if you're Justin Thompson, or really the rest of the field, as Dylan Perry is starting to take that lead over. That's the scariest thing you can see, as we really saw last week.
One thing about being here 2 weeks in a row is people are able to learn from maybe mistakes last week. We saw that in the Carrier Heat race with Justin Thompson. He was able to come back for redemption after some contact at the end of the race and claim victory tonight. But it's going to be tough, as Dylan Perry is right back where he finished last week, right up front. He is fast.
But this does give me hope. Dylan Perry started second in this race. We know there's going to be some cautions at some point, so I do think Justin Thompson can do exactly what Dylan Perry did. He would then have the same line. So something to watch, but in the meantime, we've got a lot of battles right now. Some movement. John Hines falling 3 spots, but you see John Foskey up 2 spots as Hines falls yet another spot. So a lot of movement going on right now. DC Smith even in the rear, up 3 spots. So look at these guys. I mean, we're almost 3 wide there with Zach Chapman. I think he likes that he has the top line, at least for the moment.
John Hine really throwing it in there. He has fallen back 4 spots, trying to get his momentum as Tater Williams and Chapman get together coming down the front stretch. Williams will drop back behind, and Aiden Young's able to take advantage as he makes a dive move coming out of 2.
But for the moment, caution free. Really a credit to these drivers and their skill sets. A lot of people in this league, not in this league, would wreck right there. Credit to them, but man, it is slick out there.
Aiden Young continues the battle on the inside as he's to the inside of Hine now. Aiden Young up 4 spots to 8th, got his sights set on the 7th position now, trying to get past Hine.
Pleasantly surprised, 8 going on 9 uninterrupted laps here in the Smoky Mountain 50. We're already almost, 20% of the way through. So these boys are flying right now. Perry extending that gap to 0.7 of a second. You have Thompson trying to hold off Brandon Bender, though, right behind him. Bender, a name we don't often mention in these top 3. I'm really excited to see him there, though.
As they made their way through some lap cars that held up Thompson a little bit, Bender was able to gain some ground, but Thompson's able to pull away, and Thompson actually has one of our best laps, but the best lap so far in this feature event is the 16.79 by Dylan Perry.
Of course it is, and yeah, like you talked about, lap traffic already, that's going to play in really all. I mean, 20% through the race, and we already are dealing with this lap traffic. Unless we get a restart, expect to see this really factor in. What was it, a few weeks ago when we saw I can't remember which driver it was, but went right up the middle and really got lucky that he still finished top 3 in the race. So we've seen lap traffic play a pivotal and big impacting role in this series. As the caution comes out, we're going to see if we can pull up a replay for that. Looks like Zach Chapman. Watch that Scooby-Doo car. Not sure if he got a little loose. Yep, got turned around there into the wall, and looks like he should hopefully still be okay. Not too damaging.
When the caution came out, we were watching Tater Williams, John Hine, and Aiden Young 6th through 9th battling really the best battle on the track for about the last 5 laps as Chapman sits on the inside there waiting to fix some of his damage. That last caution, instant replay presented by Coolray, showed Zach Chapman and Colin Boyles as they drop to the back of the pack. Dylan Perry leads here at Bristol.
He does, and if there's an opportunity for him to not lead, it'd be something that Justin Thompson, he has a say in it. So I'm eager to see this restart. What are we expecting? Well, we're expecting to see Dylan Perry take the lead and take it handily. But what do we want to see? We want to see what Justin Thompson can do. And I think the type of racer he is, with how consistent he is, he's the perfect fit to really give Dylan Perry a fit. So, like what we're seeing so far. Love seeing our viewership up right now. Thanks to everybody tuning in on the YouTube channel. Some really quick first laps in this race. Caution free until just a little bit of an incident there for Chapman, but nothing too damaging. And we should expect to see the same even as the track continues to change as we're well into the night here in Tennessee.
So they're lined back up. We've got Dylan Perry, Justin Thompson, that front row as they chase down the iRacing pace truck. Second row, we've got Brandon Bender, John Foskey. Brandon Bender and Foskey have been on the move. They're both moved up throughout the first few laps of this race. Steven Spees also up there in the top 5. As we mentioned, he won a modified event last night at Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55. And they make their way. It looks like the pace car lights are still on, so we'll do at least one more lap. Looking through the field, we got some good movers. We talked about them quite a bit. That 69 of Aiden Young, Adam, Brett Carlton, and Joshua Johnson, all 9th, 10th, and 11th currently, have been on their move forward.
Yeah, 2 names that we talk about a lot, but rightfully so, Aiden Young and Tater Williams. And so I want to see if one of those can crack the top 5. It's kind of weird, and it's not like they're deep in the pack, but it's weird to see them in the middle of the pack. I'm just so used to seeing them continually battle for that front. So Aiden Young's making some good progress. You look at where everybody's jumped from. Tater's up 1, Aiden Young's up 3, Joshua Johnson's up 4. This is really a night that I'm excited. We've talked about Joshua Johnson more than we have really all season. So let's see what they can do here on another green flag run.
Pace car lights go off. Dylan Perry, Justin Thompson lead us by as looks like we will go green this next time by. The lights are going off the pace car here. So they're lined up side by side through the field. We are at the beautiful Bristol Motor Speedway. Great crowd for our latest event for the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series. Smoky Mountain 50, our second straight Wednesday here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Perry and Thompson lead us through 3 and 4. And Dylan Perry will lead us back to green in the Smoky Mountain 50 here at Bristol. He's able to jump in front of Thompson and get to that high side as they go into 1 and 2.
Thompson really had no shot there. I mean, that rocket ship that Dylan Perry's driving just catapulted him, and we're now seeing, what is this, a half-second lead above Brandon Bender. So Thompson falling all the way to 3rd. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Oh, that right into the wall. Good.
As we will bring out the caution, yellow flag comes out at turn 1. We saw some wreckage there last week as well. As we will wait to see. Doesn't look we were able to catch that replay. We saw it live as Justin Thompson and it looked like Brandon Bender got together there going into 1 and 2.
Yeah, and normally a situation like this, you'd say, oh man, the leader has to hate that, right? Well, I don't think Dylan Perry cares at this point. I mean, that restart, as much as the caution may have affected some of the drivers who are in the middle of the pack, that just goes to show the strength. That's what I care more about right now, is how fast Dylan Perry is looking on these restarts. And I think only 1 point this season, and it did kind of cost him a win. We saw the penalty come to Dylan Perry earlier this season for jumping a restart, but I don't think that'll be an issue tonight. He is just on his game, and look at that ride. No dirt hardly on the front. He's racing pretty clean. I think he's exactly where he wants to be, and hitting his marks. There's no need to tell him what to do. He knows what he needs to do, and he just does it.
Justin Thompson will go to the rear of that last caution. So a fast car, a carrier heat race winner earlier in the night, now back in the pack. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. As we've seen, it's been tough, but we've also seen it get racy at times. So we'll see if he's able to make his way back up through the field. 50 laps tonight, so he's still got time, as he's back there now with Chapman as well. Dylan Hutchinson's back there in 17th right now. So some wreckage has forced some fast cars to the back of the field, as they will try to battle and move their way up through this field.
Yeah, you're right. This does give a little more time for guys like Zach Chapman and Justin Thompson, where I believe a similar situation, it was more of a penalty for Tater Williams a few weeks ago. Did not have enough time to get up front, even though he kind of clearly had the fastest car. I think this is good for good timing if this is ever going to happen for a guy like Justin Thompson. Plenty of racing still to go. It wouldn't shock me that if we get maybe 10 to 12 green flag laps, if he's already advancing into the top 10. So something to watch. Joshua Johnson, also a name. You watch it from us. The top of your screen just went by. He's top 10 right now. Joshua Johnson, I believe he's sitting 14th in the point standings. So this is a big deal. If he can pull up and park this thing with the top 10, maybe a top 5. Who knows? A lot of changing of the guard taking place in that 2nd through 5th place area.
Also, that 29 machine of DC Smith up to 12th. He's someone we talked about earlier, was just not in the right place at all during the heat races or that last chance showdown. Moved up through the field, taking advantage of some cautions, and now sits in 12th, up 8 spots from his starting spot.
Waiting for that pace truck to come around. You might get a glimpse here on your screen just how far and away that truck is. Very unique to this track that we're noticing. He is definitely leading and putting some laps on tonight between now and the last chance showdown and the carrier heat races. So, but it doesn't have the feel of a caution heavy race, especially early on. Really green for most of this, but the fans are getting a quick bite to eat and just about back to some good racing.
I see that Foskey machine right behind Dylan Perry. I know we're a couple months into the year, but they've had some run-ins earlier in the year as well, as Perry brings us back to green in the Smoky Mountain 50. Foskey's able to move up to the inside of Bender as they go into 1 and 2. Gets loose, opens the door for Steven Spees, and the caution comes out.
I'm not even sure the caution ever left the screen. I think they knew something we didn't, but contact really up front and even in the middle of the pack. It was kind of a domino effect. I'm not sure we're going to be able to pull up a replay for this one, but trust us, it's a little bit of a mess, and truck comes through. We're got to get this figured out once again.
They'll get relined back up as they sort it out pretty quickly there. We'll see where they line up to go back to green.
As they get this figured out, we want to take a chance to talk about what's coming up for the series. If you're enjoying it, like we are, of course, here in the booth, it's going to be on a little bit of a break for the entire month of April, but don't worry. We'll be back-to-back with a couple of races on May 3rd and May 4th. May 3rd, of course, being from U.S. International Speedway for the Florida-Georgia Speed Weeks, presented by Brite Box Electrical. Then the next day, make the drive all the way to Lanier National Speedway for the Florida-Georgia Speed Weeks. And that, of course, is presented by Brite Box Electrical as well. So a lot of things to look forward to, but I think these drivers are going to be pretty excited for a little family time to maybe practice on some tracks that they haven't had as much time as maybe they wanted to. Because before you know it, Wednesdays come around quickly in the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series. So a little time off is never a bad thing. Makes what is it? Absence make the heart grow fonder, and pretty sure we're going to be chomping at the bit to get back to these dirt tracks.
Well, and once we get to that end of May events, especially once we get to Fairbury there at the end of May, we'll be hitting the summer months, and it'll be a lot of racing. Of course, the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series is home here exclusively on Extreme eSpeed TV. So you'll be able to see plenty of racing action all summer long, as we'll make at least one more lap around Bristol. And also the Light Electric Company Next Gen Series races on Sunday nights. They were at Atlanta Motor Speedway this last Sunday. They will now go to Richmond Raceway this coming Sunday. So coverage for that begins around 9 p.m. Sunday night. So tune in to Extreme eSpeed TV for that as well. If you're watching, subscribe and you'll get notifications whenever we go live, and you won't miss any of our exciting racing action. Perry and Spees line up. Foskey and Tater Williams now up to 4th as they come through 3 and 4, and we will go back to green. And it looks like, nope, they turned the lights back on, so we'll do at least one more lap, making sure they're lined up in their correct spots. They get it sorted out. Lights are off. Beautiful night for racing here, just south of Bristol, Tennessee, or Bristol, Virginia, depending on what side of the line you're on. We are on the Tennessee side. As Dylan Perry, Steven Spees, round turn 3 and 4, and Dylan Perry takes us back to green at Bristol. Contact between Spees and Foskey at the start-finish line, and they head into one side by side.
It's amazing. It's not the best restart we've seen from Dylan Perry, yet he still has such a sizable lead. Credit to him, but you're right. Foskey, Spees, Williams, a lot of action going on back there. Ooh, a little bit of contact. Can they hold up? Boys catastrophic events, and they do. Middle of the pack, that is pure entertainment right now. We got 3 wide with a couple more trying to get in the mix. So as Perry continues to do his thing, whoa, we get a spin out right there. That might bring out the caution. And it does, as we just hit the 17 lap. Coolray instant replay. I want you to watch the middle of the screen. They're already a little loose as we get to this point. Ooh, a little contact with the wall. That sends really a domino effect. Ooh, a little more contact.
That was our Coolray instant replay cam. Looks like Cody Terry is going to take the brunt of that as he makes a stop into the pits to work on his car. We'll line back up, and you mentioned not the best restart by Perry that time, and Spees was actually passed by Foskey on that restart. So wild restarts here at Bristol each time, and some drivers able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, there was a brief moment that I really thought Perry might have a little more contention that we're used to seeing. And when I say a brief moment, I'm really talking one turn, and then he kicked it into that gear. He's just another level above these last couple of weeks, and he kind of found his stride. But it just goes to show that if he does not get the perfect restart, there are opportunities for guys like Foskey and Speeds to take over. And really, who's creeping up there? You got Tater Williams, Brett Carlton, names that have been really consistent as of late. And I want to see here, as we, they're kind of shifting around right now, but I would like to see where Justin Thompson shakes out in all this. He hasn't had a ton of green flag laps to really gain some ground, but he's the guy we talk about where he's so consistent. He's such a just solid dirt racer that I like to see where he ends up by the end of this race.
We're looking at that 117 machine of Joshua Johnson. He's up 9 spots up to 6th, and then that 224 right next to him is up 8 spots into the top 5. So definitely some movement throughout the field, guys taking advantage of some other guys having some rough nights. And it's going to be interesting to see, of course, if anyone's able to get up there to that number 7 machine of Dylan Perry, as now it's Foskey on his outside, going to make his run at him on this restart.
Well, we're almost getting to the point where if Perry does get caught up, I think it's going to come down to lap traffic possibly getting in his way because he's clearly not giving it up on the restart. And maybe this was the announcer's jinx that the rest of the field needs, but I don't exactly think so. But I do think lap traffic is going to play. We had so many green flag laps early on that if we get into that again, we're bound to have cars that are just a little bit slower, especially Dylan Perry. And he's so clean on his turns that I think that might be what it might take for a guy like Foskey or Speeds to even have a chance here in the second half of this race.
As the lights go off, they are single file, so we've seen this throughout the year, have troubles getting back to green with double file restarts and cautions. They try to go single file, see if we can get a long green flag run here, as we've got 50 laps tonight in the Smoky Mountain 50, and we will see what we're able to do on this restart. Dylan Perry, Foskey, Spees, Williams, your top four, as they make their way through 3 and 4. And Dylan Perry takes us back to green at Bristol, single file, on lap 17 of 50. Dylan Perry leads the way around the outside. Aiden Young makes a attempt on the inside.
You're right, you called that earlier. Aiden Young loves that low lane, and he's kind of like on an island when he did that himself. And I'm telling you, single file, side by side, it does not matter. Dylan Perry is going to restart well.
Dylan Perry leads, Foskey's behind him as they make their way around. Perry moves down this lap through the corner. Foskey follows him through as they complete another lap. Now 19 laps done of 50. As we've got plenty of racing throughout the track as John Hine makes his move on the outside of Johnson.
Yeah, that middle of the pack racing is wild. Ooh, almost a little bit of contact there. Glad they're staying out of it. I think these guys want a green flag run, and the way they're kind of spreading out right now, they might exactly get that.
We talked about bad luck earlier in the night. That 29 machine of DC Smith having another great run here at Bristol like he did last week. He's now into the top 10 after starting 20th, really making some ground, and he is battling Johnson, Hine, and Bender to stay in the top 10.
That's exactly what he needed. A night like this is exactly what he needs. And you mentioned, yes, up 10 spots. I mean, that's double digits. No one is even near that. I guess you could say Aiden Young up 7 spots, but that is an incredible feat, especially at this track with this condition.
Watching the best action on the track currently, side-by-side racing with Hine, Johnson, Bender, and Smith. As Johnson gets into the wall coming off a 2, that'll impede his momentum, as now Hine and Bender look to pull away.
Wow, we really avoided some disaster there by Joshua Johnson. Credit to him for not only saving it, but staying out of the way of everyone else around him so we can continue to run green here from Bristol Motor Speedway. As we take you back to the top, Dylan Perry doing his thing. Starting to come across some lap traffic, I imagine, pretty soon. Loving this view right here. Just shows how skilled he is with these turns. Watch him just dive. He's taking a little bit lower than the Highland.
It looked like lap traffic made him move to the inside, but he's able to move down, make the pass, and now he's got Colin Boyles, who's currently in 17th in front of him. But smooth lines around the track, and look at, he's just able to get around wherever he needs to do to pick these cars off one by one and speedy.
Like he can do it from anywhere, but if there's no lap traffic in the way, he'd prefer that top line, and it really just seems to be giving him more and more speed. He went by those lap cars very, very quickly.
Cross flags are out. It's 25 laps down, 25 laps to go in this 50-lap event at Bristol Motor Speedway. Dylan Perry has a over 1 second lead over John Foskey currently. John Foskey second, Spees third, Young fourth, and Tater Williams in fifth as they continue to tick off laps here at Bristol.
Perry passes race director Cody Early at number 3. Yeah, a little bit of 3-wide action there in the middle of the back of the pack, but sure, as great as these guys are running, it's going to be really hard. As you see, Justin Thompson, that's the guy we were watching. Yes, he's down 7 from where he started, but he's all the way up to 9th right now. A force to be reckoned with. He is loving this green flag run.
As he makes his way past John Hine for 8th, John Hine made a great move to shoot the gap past a lapped car, and DC Smith continues the battle with John Hine. Those two have been stuck together for a majority of this race.
And I want to take a moment. Let's not, it'd be remiss if we did not mention John Foskey. He's our points leader. And yes, he may not be leading, but he is just holding strong in that second place spot, up 4 spots from the beginning of the race. We get a look at his car. No one in front of him, no one behind him. So he's just kind of got a lot of space around him. So credit to him for having, once again, a great run. We also see, John Hine. He started so well earlier tonight in some of the other events. Same as DC Smith and Joshua Johnson. They're kind of a little stagnant right now in the middle of the pack. Not that it's a bad thing, but kind of expected them to jump up a little more. But they're still racing really great right now.
Great battles, 4th through 7th. We got Tater Williams in that 182, Carlton in the 224, Spees in the 55, and then Aiden Young back there in the 69. Tater Williams and Spees battle for 3rd currently. Tater Williams up 6 spots from his starting spot, continues to move forward. These guys now looking for maybe a caution here to bunch the field back up and at least give them a chance at going after the Perry machine.
I think so, and this is what Tater Williams has needed. He needed a run like this to catch up, but like you mentioned, he might need something to bunch everybody back up. Now he says, okay, I've got a fast car, I know what's working, now get me closer to the leader, because right now he's kind of just chasing dirt at the moment.
These three continue to battle as our leader Dylan Perry makes his way around, coming to 15 laps to go now. The single file restart really got them up and running and now stretched out with our longest green flag run of the race. Dylan Perry continues to push the cars a lap down. You see the damage to the 75 machine and a contact with the leader in 3 and 4.
Wow, did not expect to see that. And of course, you saw it live here with going on focus camera. Wow, it just looks like, I don't know, the steering might have been a little off, but uncharacteristic mistake there from Andy as he got a little boxed up. That car is looking rough at the moment.
So the caution comes out. That was our longest green flag run of the night, and it will bunch them back up as it now gives a chance to Tater Williams up to 3rd, Carlton's 4th, Spees is 5th is how that 3-way battle shook out. As they make their way around, we'll let the field shuffle through here and set the lineup for the next green flag run here at Bristol.
Yeah, and I mean, this could be great timing for a guy like Tater Williams, up 5 spots in the entire race in 4th, and then Brett Carlton up 8 spots. Carlton, this is what we've been wanting to see really since the first couple of weeks. I think he's got a very fast car, and I'm not honestly sure which is better right now. I think if I'm looking at the best speeds, it looks like Tater Williams with 16.97, just a little bit faster than Brett Carlton's 17.02. But I mean, I'm looking at some of these lap times. Who's most consistent? Of course, Dylan Perry, but even a John Foskey holding second with not exactly this, he's nowhere near the fastest time, but Foskey, he just finds a way. He's kind of very similar to what we see from Justin Thompson and when it comes to being very consistent. So eager to see how this shakes out as we are now more than halfway through this race from Bristol.
Dylan Perry continues to lead. Got John Foskey in 2nd, and then some quick cars. Tater Williams up 6 spots to 3rd, Brett Carlton up 9 spots to 4th. And then as we mentioned earlier, and we can't talk about him enough right now, DC Smith having another great run here at Bristol. Sometimes you get to tracks that just click, and while he had some bad luck earlier in the night, up 11 spots, currently running 9th. Great run for DC as another rookie that's really making some noise earlier in this Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series season.
And it really makes you think, if he did not have some of that contact early, I mean, his car looks pretty good right now, but if you avoid all that contact, I mean, we might be looking at a guy who's top 3 at this point. He's running that strong, and I don't think that's preposterous to say.
Lights are still on the iRacing pace truck. Make at least one more lap around here as the fans are ready for this finish of the Smoky Mountain 50. And
even with the cautions, it hasn't been a race that's felt like it's dragged on. I mean, And this is 10 more laps than we saw last week, so really 10 more turns around this track that just provide more opportunity for chaos.
Well, it's really interesting. You think of the diversity of the tracks that we go to throughout the season. We were at Weed Sport 2 weeks ago, Adam, and then we come, which was a tight track, real hard to get around, and then we come to Bristol, which is wide, fast, big, lots of room for you to move around. As they come around, Dylan Perry will bring us back to green at Bristol. Foskey tries to make some ground on him as they go through 1 and 2. We've got 14 laps to go in tonight's Smoky Mountain 50.
Loving the line of pursuit. Ooh, a little bit of contact maybe there near the back with Bender. We're 3 wide already. That could be a little dangerous. Keep your eye on it. Wow, that is very tight as they head into turn 1.
As the 98 machine of Thompson continues his fight back, he's into the top 5 after being one of the fastest cars here throughout the night. A crash took him to the rear, and now he's made his way all the way back up to 5th with Brett Carlton in his sights.
Yeah, a little bit of a love tap there between Thompson and Bender. He moved him, and Speeds was just trying to stay neutral there, and he did it. So far, so good, as Speeds is holding his own in 6th, trying to catch back up to Justin Thompson. Thompson just fire right now, and he's definitely made up for a little bit of the accident he got caught in earlier tonight.
You see the cars up there ahead of him. Foskey and Tater Williams continue to try to find a line that picks up ground on Perry. Perry currently leads by half a second, but Foskey has his best probably restart yet, and there's a move for the lead as Foskey comes out of 2. He gets to the inside of Perry, will try to make the pass in 3 and 4.
This is the drama we've been waiting for with 10 laps to go. Make it 9 now. Did not expect that. Pleasantly surprised, but this is why John Foskey is your points leader. Even having missed 1 race this season, he is making a statement saying, hey, I'm still here, and it's showing right now.
This last green flag run, we saw Tater Williams and Foskey move down to the inside as Perry was still riding around the top. They were able to make a move. Foskey was able to get by Perry as Boyles moves to the outside, and now Foskey leaves with 8 to go.
You got to think Foskey is just yelling right now, do not throw the caution. Because if the caution comes out, there's no one more terrifying than Dylan Perry on the restart. As Perry goes low, he might get it after a couple more laps. Look at Foskey giving it everything he's got right now.
They're side by side as they come off the corner. Perry loses the nose a little bit coming out of 4, and Foskey's able to pull back away, but Perry hangs on his left rear quarter panel as they go down the backstretch.
Perry does not have the high line, something he might be a little more comfortable in, but Foskey, he's got it. Can he hold it? Oh, we just seem to be mere laps away from possibly seeing another lead change with just 5 laps to go.
Plenty of respect there. I think Perry just got out of it instead of sliding up into the 128. It'll be interesting to see if that's the same move he makes later as he dives into the inside again, slides up, make contact coming out of 4, but Foskey's able to lead as the caution comes out for Brett Carlton.
Man, that caution might be killer, and I don't know who it could be killer for because they could make an argument for both of them. Let's take a look here at what happened with Brett Carlton. I know he had contact with Thompson earlier. Is that what caused it? Take a look here. Might have just got loose, got a little too low and stopped the track. Ooh, a little bit of a hit there for Aiden Young. Usually is able to avoid that kind of contact.
So John Foskey was able to get past Dylan Perry that last green flag run. We've got 4 laps to go. Brett Carlton was having a great run until that caution there. And then someone else that snuck in there was the Tater Williams machine, and then also Thompson in 4th. While Foskey and Perry were battling, they wanted to get up there and join the party too right before that caution came out.
You know, we're mere moments away from seeing who's going to win this race, so I'm going to put the pressure on you, Travis. If you had to flip a coin right now, and it really is a coin flip decision, do you have Foskey or do you have Perry? I think it's between those two.
It's hard to go against Perry. I think Perry makes a move maybe in 3 and 4 isn't as giving as he has been so far. I think he has a little bit more room, and if he wants to go up and use up the side of the Foskey machine to complete the pass, I think it's there for him if he wants to make that move on him.
You know, Perry's gotten a lot of birthday wishes in these last 24 hours, but one of them is not going to be coming from John Foskey. I think you're going to see every trick he has up his sleeves. And I mean, yeah, this is basically for the points lead in the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series. It all comes down to these last final laps. And yes, this matters a lot because this puts us, a month out into the future. We're going to go the whole month of April without having these guys back on track. So they have 5 laps to really give everything they got. And it's going to be a little stressful as we start to see the viewers climb here on Extreme eSpeed TV. Let us know if you're listening, if you're watching, if you're close to the keyboard. Let us know who you got, because in our eyes, it's a coin flip's chance. As we continue to have the field pace, one thing that might be a benefit is if they restart single file, might that give an opportunity for John Foskey to be a little more comfortable? I know side by side, Dylan Perry certainly showed that he could handle that with ease. So the single file aspect of this could come in clutch for John Foskey.
Pace lights go off the iRacing pace truck. We've got 5 laps to go this next time by to complete the Smoky Mountain 50, our second straight week here at Bristol. Dylan Perry was able to claim victory last week. He goes for it again today, but John Foskey is here to crash the birthday party for him and see if he can steal a victory here at Bristol. It's going to be Foskey, Perry, Williams, Thompson, Bender, your top 5. Restart's going to be key for Foskey as he makes his way around. And green flag at Bristol as we've got 4 laps to go. Foskey's able to pull away Dylan Perry up to the high side. Williams makes his move on the inside of Perry, and they'll be side by side down the back stretch here at Bristol.
Wow, what a start there for John Foskey. As Perry gets pushed up a little bit, this is devastating. Will he even hold on to a top 3? Oh man, we are going to have to wait and see. Tater Williams up to second. Incredible, incredible final 15 laps we've seen here from Bristol.
As Williams and Thompson are able to get to the inside of Perry, Foskey's going to pull away as he comes to 2 laps to go. Foskey has 2 wins already this year in the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series, and he's looking for 3.
And suddenly, it's Thompson trying to hold off Perry. Could Perry avoid a top 3? That would be absolutely devastating heading into a month off of action as we are at the final lap. John Foskey, the stage is yours.
John Foskey already has wins at Coolray Winter Nationals at Volusia. He won on nights 1 and 3. As he comes around, he will take victory in the Smoky Mountain 50 at Bristol Motor Speedway. John Foskey's our first 3-time winner, or actually he'll join Dylan Perry as our 3-time winners this season.
As if our scoring is correct, Dylan Perry drops to 7th as Aiden Young slips in at the very last moment. Tater Williams, an impressive, wow, 2nd place, incredible turn of events. But I mean, this is what it's all about. As you see, a little burnout from John Foskey, well deserved.
So your top 3 finishers will be John Foskey, Tater Williams, Aiden Young. As they get parked on the front stretch, we will have them join us here shortly. A great finish to our 2nd straight visit to Bristol. We are going to take a quick commercial break as they get out of their cars and get ready to tell us what it was like out on the track. You're watching Extreme eSpeed TV.
Well, folks, we are back at Bristol Motor Speedway, an insane Smoky Mountain 50 finish, and we are joined alongside Mr. Aiden Young, who climbed up 9 spots from the beginning of the race to the end. And Aiden, I have to ask you, are you as shocked as we are with, one, how that finished, but I'm proud to say you got a third place finish. How do you feel about that?
I'm just ecstatic because halfway through that race, but with 15 to go, I had a pop-up come up on my screen. The screen went totally black.
That is absolutely crazy. So at what point, so I imagine you're running these final laps and you're probably just hoping it doesn't go black again, huh?
It went black right before we took the green flag for the last caution.
That, well, like you said, you should be ecstatic. You really deserved it. We're about to have a month off now. What do you have some plan? Do you have any plans for this month off?
Mainly run some more late model stuff just to get better at these cars.
Well, I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great month off. We can't wait to talk to you next month.
Yeah, thank you.
Tater, you copy? We'll bring in John Foskey. John, do you copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Awesome, John. Well, good to have you. Congrats, first of all. Dylan Perry ran a very strong race, and there was, a moment where we thought, okay, well, now we're watching for second place. At what point did you feel like, okay, I might have this? Because he was chasing you for a little bit of a while towards the end there before falling back. When did you feel most confident in this race?
The first half, I was kind of just a sitting duck. He was flying, and he was on a different level than anybody else. He had almost a straightaway on me, it felt like. But that late race caution came out, and it was my second shot to get him, and I think he missed turn 2. Coming off turn 2, I think he slid the tires and slid up the racetrack, and it was my opportunity to pounce on him, and I did it. And luckily, I cleared him and held him off for a couple laps. He was still on me, and then I know we were side by side, and that final restart's really what sealed the deal. Got a little jump on him, and then I don't know what happened in the back, but just happy to be up front this week.
Yeah, we can tell you it was chaos. Really, that final 2 laps as Aiden Young even snuck into a third place finish. Now you head into a month off. You're going to retain, it looks like, your points standings. You had a 1-point lead. That should stay the same. Do you have any plans? Are you running some laps on these tracks we're about to head to? What do you got going on for the month of April?
Gonna take some time off, and we're actually opening up a new setup shop, banging sets, the CBR guys. So we're gonna turn our attention to that for a little bit and get that taken off, start helping guys, and we'll get back to it probably about 2 weeks. We'll start practicing again and getting ready.
All right, I love it. Back to the grind. Well, John, we really appreciate you taking the time. You jumped up 5 spots, and you ran so consistent. So thanks for putting on a show, and we can't wait to talk to you again in May.
All right, thank you, and it's Bristol, baby.
Thank you, John, for joining us. Now we've got our second place finisher, Tater Williams. Tater, you were able to jump up 7 spots from starting. What was the difference there that last green flag run that gave you guys the opportunity to pounce on Perry and make some moves and really take advantage of that final restart?
Honestly, I don't really know. I figured Perry was just going to fall in line behind John there, and I seen he went to the outside in 1 and 2, and I knew nothing was up there, so I was just going to run my line around the bottom, and luckily I found that like 30 laps ago, and luckily I was just able to hold my line. We got tight there a couple times coming off the corner, but I know how tight I can run him, and I know he ain't going to run me dirty, so hats off to him, hats off to John for winning another race. hats off to Aiden as well. I think he come from deep too, so all of us advanced a good amount of spots to come up here in the top 3.
So we're 7 races into the 2022 season now. You've yet to visit Victory Lane, but you've had some good runs. How do you kind of look back at the start of the season so far for you?
The start of the season has been crap in my book. This is one of the better runs I've had. We started all right with Charlotte, but it just seemed to go downhill from there. I'm looking for a heck of a lot of more podiums and hopefully a couple wins to claw myself back in this points battle and not have to be fighting all season long to just try and get back up there with them guys.
So with almost a month off, we go back and we go back-to-back nights for the Florida-Georgia Speed Weeks. We go to USA and then we go to Lanier. What are your plans for the next month to try to get prepared for that, the season as it really starts to pick up in May?
We're going to go over my 2 cars, top to bottom, end to end. We'll probably go down to USA and Lanier and do a little bit of testing and see if we can pick up on any speed secrets before anybody else finds out. But we'll just see. It just has to wait that month out, and it's going to be a long time not to race, but we'll see how it goes.
Awesome run tonight, Tater. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you in May down in Florida and Georgia.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all.
So, Adam, that wraps up our night here at Bristol, our second straight week. We'll throw up that final finishing order for tonight's Smoky Mountain 50 here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
That's right, and I hope that each of you did not tune in just now, because as this sets right here, as you look at this final result grid, this is not what it looked like most of the race. John Foskey, fantastic overtake at the end to pick up the win. Tater Williams just had a fast car, as he's had a lot of nights this season. Finishes up second. Aiden Young climbed up 9 spots. In fact, the top 3 drivers a combined 21 spots gained this evening. So credit to them. Brendan Bender and Justin Thompson battled a lot. They finished up 4th and 5th. And then rounding out the rest, you have Spees, Perry, Smith, Hine, and Hutchinson rounding out your top 10. And of course, Johnson, Chapman, Voiles, Carlton, Piercefield, Early, and Terry wrapping out the rest of the field, followed by Lassiter and Van Westen, 19th and 20th. So really great finish there. Yes, as you see, the final 2, not the best night for Lassiter, Van Westen, Terry, Early, and really a lot of unexpected events taking place, including Dylan Perry, who looked like he was cruising to yet another win on the season, finishing up 7th. I know we didn't get a chance to interview him, but gotta imagine, Travis, that's got to be leaving a bitter taste in his mouth going into a month off now.
He's definitely going to be thinking about it the next 4 or 5 weeks as we take a month off of racing. We will be back with the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series on May 3rd and 4th for Florida Georgia Speed Weeks presented by Brite Box. We'll stop at USA International Speedway first down in Florida, and then we'll head north to Georgia for Lanier National Speedway on the 4th. As always, we appreciate you tuning in tonight. We've got the LEC Next Gen Series this Sunday from Richmond Raceway. Otherwise, we will see you in May. Thank you for tuning in as always, and we will see you next time, race fans.
Hello, my name is Benny Boudreau, and I created the Springrthm app. The Springrthm app allows someone who doesn't have access to a Spring Smasher to be able to set their car up to their manufacturer's suggested install loads and center to centers, as well as be able to figure out their dynamic loads, as well as make adjustments to them to make their handling of their car better. For someone who does have a Spring Smasher, Springrthm will greatly reduce the amount of time to figure out those new stack setups by allowing for instantaneous spring rate changes as well as load changes. Springrthm will even make sure that your setup doesn't coil bind at the loads that you're trying to hit. For only $4.99 a month, you too can have access to the same information that top late model teams across the country are using to gain a competitive advantage.
copyrighted broadcast of Extreme eSpeed TV Network is intended solely for the entertainment of the audience. Any retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without express written consent of the Extreme eSpeed TV Network is strictly prohibited. We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast.